In this part, we are going to go ahead and do the Y-axis BF mounting prep. This. In the end of the last episode, or last part, I had mounted these, but I did them backwards because of a hole in the documentation I fell into. This has been resolved. I updated the wiki to hopefully make sure that you folks don't fall into the same hole I fell into. The issue that got me was machine orientation. And it was entirely my fault. I was going too quick, and there was just enough of an ambiguity in the documentation that I screwed it up. As a result of that, I have got 3 beautifully located and tapped holes in both beams that are wrong. So I am going to be fixing that in this part, and we are also going to cover, let's see here, that's the next part. After that, we're going to do the Y-axis linear prep, or the Y-axis linear rail prep, which involves getting the linear rails set up to be drilled on here, and we'll see if I can't get that done. Go ahead and I'm going to grab onto the camera so we can see what's going on here. What we're going to do here is, you can see that these 3 holes are wrong. So that's because the block was put on this way. The block needs to be put on this way. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll get that on there, and I want to make sure that it's even as possible, okay? The back face of this has to be even with the back of the metal. So that being said, let's go ahead and I'll grab my marking tool here. This is kind of a soft steel one, and then I've got my hardened steel one here. And then we'll get my alignment block. Just drop that in there. Get that nice and square. And give it a tap. Again. Give it a tap. And again, give it a tap. I don't like the way that felt. Okay, there we go. So now I've got 3 well-defined marks. Okay. So the next task is to pilot hole drill these. Now I'm going to try something new. Got a new toy here. These are spotting drills. And I'm going to see how well they work. And I'm going to try the 1/8 inch one, which is this one right here. Let us see how well this works out, shall we? Oops. Okay. Let's go find that 1/8 inch bit. Okay. Now, I have to drill these with, or I have to tap them. And in order to do that, I need to put a 5mm hole in there. So let's do that. Okay, let's check to make sure that my holes are all good. Yep, all three of those are perfect. So take that off. And what I've got here is a little block that I've made in order to help me make sure that I get the taps in square. Put a little tapping fluid on there. And just do it like so. You don't have to hold on to the block the whole time. It's just to get you started. There we go. That's one good hole. Some people will want to 3D print these guides, but to me I feel it's a waste of time. Primarily because it took a couple of minutes maybe to make this guide, whereas if you're going to 3D print it, it's going to take all kinds of time because you've got your 3D printing time, your design time, and all that other nonsense. When you can just drill a hole in a chunk of wood and do your thing. And I use a little brush to clear the junk out of there. Now, let's try this again, shall we? Look at that, goes right in. It's amazing what the little thread will do for you, huh? And this 30mm screw is too long for this. It really should be like a 12. But that is what the wiki states. So that's what we'll use. Tight and tight. There we go. Okay, now on to the other side, and I'm not going to show you guys that because, well, you've seen this. This step is the Y-axis linear rail prep. And what you're going to need for that, glasses again, you need a 4mm Allen key, a 4.2mm drill bit, an M5 tap, a marking tool, which is something like that, 5 or 6mm, then alignment if you're using it. You're also going to want a pilot drill. I know it's only a 4.2mm hole, but just drill a pilot hole. And then you're going to need some M5 by 20 bolts, which is right here. And you will need rail clips, which are these things here. These are 3D printed alignment gauges for the rail. And then of course you will need your two HDR, what are they? HDR 20 rails, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get this thing out of the package. And oh yeah, it's covered in oil, which is, I mean, it's a good thing. But I don't want oily hands. So I'm going to kind of wipe it down a little bit. Okay, so this is what that rail looks like. Here, focus on that, not me, you stupid camera. Okay. And this is a precision ground hardened steel rail. And you're going to put it about like that, okay? And you want to use your alignment gauges to center the rail on your steel, like so. I printed 3. You could print more. I wouldn't use fewer than 3. Okay? As you can see, that thing is not going anywhere, and it's perfectly centered in your steel. What we're going to do is we're going to mark the holes in the rail that are closest and furthest from the mount. So what we'll go ahead and do is I'll pull this one back here. Actually, no, I'm going to leave that right about there. And we're going to do this hole and this hole here, okay? And I need to make sure that my marking tool will fit. And it does. Okay. So, do I have enough room? I do not, so I'm going to push this out just a little bit further. That didn't sound great, did it? And let's get us another camera angle on that, shall we? Because more camera angles are awesome. And one thing I am going to do is I'm going to clamp this in place so it doesn't go scooting around on me like it did when I adjusted that clamp or that centering piece. So we'll just do that. And you know, just for an abundance of caution, let's put 2 on there, shall we? And we're up against that. And let us get our first holes set. Okay, now the instructions want me to do this again on the other side. However, in the interests of brevity, I think I'm just going to do the one side here. Okay? Yeah, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remark these. So take this off. Remove our centering clamps. Now we have to find where that mark was. There's one. There's the other one. I'm just going to recheck that. Yep. Okay, so it's back to drilling again. Now we are going to do the 4.2 millimeter hole. And the top block that you made prior, the alignment block, should work just fine for these holes. Okay, now that we have those 2 holes done, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the rail on either end here. And we're going to screw it down using one bolt on either end. Finger tight for the moment. Okay, so tighten this one down. the way aft. And don't really crank on it, because you could strip the threads out of this soft steel pretty easily if you're not careful. But it's good enough for what we're doing here. So now we're going to go ahead and put our alignment gauges back. And what we're going to do is go through and soft mark each hole. The instructions say to keep the alignment gauge close to the hole that you're marking, so we'll follow that. Now we'll take those alignment gauges off of there. We'll take the rail off. And then hope I can find all my marks. Okay, now we've got to drill all these. Okay, now we have got all the holes drilled and tapped. I'm not going to make you watch me tap holes, because you've seen it, you know how it works. Don't want to waste your time. So what we're going to do now is attach this rail using a whole pile of M4 screws. M4? M4? No, M5. I should know better than that. And I'm just going to go through and get these started. And if I'm really lucky, all of the holes are good. And I haven't messed anything up. But we'll find out how lucky I am, I guess. Now, I am doing this knowing full well that I'm going to be removing them shortly in order to paint. But we have a couple of other things to put on these Y-axis supports here before we are ready to paint. I think the BK 12 block is next. And after that is maybe the motor mount? Not sure. There's a good one. That one will be problematic. From what I've read, if you don't get them all perfect, it is okay to skip one or two. But don't hold me to that. Ask someone in the Discord. They will be more than happy to help you out. Well, it looks like I may only have one problem child here. I am going to err on the side of I forgot to thread that damn hole. So, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and handle that later, because the hole is good and centered. If you're planning on painting your steel and you're going to take these rails off, do not put the included caps on. And by included caps, there's a little cap, a little bag of caps that are designed as hole covers for these rails. and they're a single-use item. I mean, once you take them out, or once you put them in, you can take them out, but you'll destroy them in the process. And just snug them tight. It doesn't have to be super tight because, again, these are coming off. Okay, that is a completely installed rail, and I'm hoping this camera over here shows how nice that looks. If not, let's go ahead and bring it over. See, nice rail, awesome. Okay, I have the other side to do, and I'm gonna go ahead and handle that, and then we'll take on the next step after that. The rails are now mounted, got both of them here. The next are the BK12 blocks. This step is technically called Y-axis BK12 mounting prep. They're not going to be installed. All you're going to do is position them, mark them, drill them, and tap them. These are mounted with the triangle pointing away from the rail. So you see the triangle that's made here, okay? Probably a little easier to see on the other camera here. Okay, it's going to be installed in that orientation. So we'll put that down. Get my little percussive adjustment tool here. Give it a little tappy tap tap. You want it as snug against this as you can get it. It looks like my rail got cut at a little bit of an angle, so I'm lining it up here at the bottom. And as you can see, or can't see, the triangle form points away from it. So what we'll do here is get our marking tool set up. And just get these centered up and marked. And then we'll follow that up with the serious tool. And now to pilot drill it. First, I'm going to get my little stool. It helps me get a bit more mechanical advantage on the drill if I'm a little higher up than it is. Now we drill it out to 5 millimeters. Because the M6 tap is next. Before I tap, I'm going to check flashlight. That looks good. Now we're ready to do the same thing on the other side. I would recommend that you label your parts left and right when you start making your holes. That way, if for whatever reason they're different, you're using the part that you made the holes centers with on each respective side. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and I will be back. Well, this is where I'm going to end the video. The next part is working with the Y rollers, the Y-axis rollers. I need to square those up on a machine that I bought, and I haven't even gotten that out of the box yet. So I will work on that tomorrow, which is Saturday for me. Anyway, thank you for watching. You know, do the subscribe, like, whatever thing. It's up to you. I'll see you in the next part. Thanks. Bye-bye.